Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last video, we learned about pattern printing. Today, we are going to learn how to write cleaner modular code using functions in C++. Functions make your code reusable, organized, and easy to debug, which is a must for DSA. Let's get started. What is functions? In simple words, a function is a block of code that performs a specific. Instead of repeating code again and again, you write it once, call it whenever you need it. Why do we need a function? Increase our code reusability means we can use same function again and again for different input types. Reduces code. Going to write a long code in a main function, it will become hard to read and it will also increases your code length. So if we are doing same work again and again, instead writing same code again and again, we will create a function which will do same work for other code, and we can call it whenever we want and easy to debug. Because we are making a specific function to do a specific task, then we can also easily debug it, because we know we have to go in that function to check if our function is giving right answer or not. So it will be easier to debug a program if we separate our program into a multiple functions. Let's look at the structure of function. Every function has three parts: declaration. Just like variable declaration, we also need to declare a function. We have to define a function. After defining, we have to call it, which is function call. First, you are declaring, just like you are declaring your variable. Here, you have to define your function. Here, you will write what kind of function your code will do, and to actually use that function, we have to call it. Let's write the syntax for declaration of function. We write return type, then function name, then our parameters and semicolon. It is declaration of function. Here you can see it is a int. Here you can write any data type, because if you created a function which doing some work or a specific task for you, then you can't expect to return answer in any data type. You want answer in a specific data type, so you can multiple data types in return type. So you already know we have different data types: int, string, boolean, char, double, float, and there is another data type which we used in function. It is void, which returns nothing. We will see the example of these data types. Let's move to function name. Just like how we declare variable and we give them a name, or we call them a identifier. Similarly, we have to give name a function so we can identify it while calling it. Also follows rules for identify. So the rules we learned while declaring a variable, you have to follow in the function naming also. Naming a function, we will use parenthesis. In parenthesis, we declare a variables, which is basically called parameters having data which was passing down from function call. So what's happening here? We calling a function, and then that data will come to the function, and we will assign that data into specific variables, and these variables called parameters. Now let's look at the definition of function. Here we are only declaring, so we are ending our function after parenthesis, but we have to make him work, so we have to write some logic in it. So it will be same return type, function name, then int a comma int b parameters. Then after writing parameter, we are going to write a curly brackets, because whenever we are calling a function will run and execute the code inside these curly brackets. So let's say I'm writing a function to add two numbers. You already know our numbers are integer data type. So what I want my function to return sum of two numbers as a integer. It is our function name. These are two numbers which we are passing when calling a function. So now we have to return something from the function. To return something from the function, we want to return sum of these numbers. We will write a plus b, then semicolon. This function will return the sum of two numbers. Okay, this is our function definition. Let's look at how we are going to call a function. To call a function, just write function name, then whatever parameters and number of parameters are there, just pass data according to them. We have integer a, integer b. Let's say our integer a value will be 11, our integer b value will be 13 and semicolon. That's how we are call a function, and we pass data here, and function parameter will pick up these data and passed into the block. Here, when defining a function, these int a and b are called parameters. But whenever we are calling a function and passing the data, these are called arguments. So remember one thing, whenever you are calling a function and passing the data, it's called arguments. When function taking the data and defining new variables, which we call them parameters. Okay, let's complete our code. Int add int a int b. This is our function declaration. Then int add int a int b, return a plus b. This is our function definition. Now are these are written outside main function. Declaration and definition are written outside the main function. But whenever we have to call a function, you have to write function inside main function. First, the compiler of C++ read your whole program and check for any. If there is any error, it will return error. If there is no error, function will start executing from here. Then it will come to this statement. It will call this function. Then it will come here. Then our a value become 2, our b value become 5, then a plus b will become 2 plus 5 will 7. Then this return will return 7 as a integer. Then it will got replaced with the 7. Then cout will print 7. Okay, now why do we need this function declaration? Right, because when we are calling a function, it directly calling our function. But do we need this? In this code, we don't need function declaration. But let's say if you want to write this function definition below the main function, then you have to write this function declaration. Why? When our C++ code goes to compiler, it first check our syntax errors, and function will start checking from top to bottom. And first it will check main, then cout, then add function. He finds out here there is no add function, so it will return an error before checking here. So basically what I'm saying, it coming from top to bottom and checking for any errors. So it is checking that we are calling a function without defining a function, but we know the function is defining down here. But C++ doesn't know we defined a function. In that case, we have to declare first to tell the C++ compiler that I declared my function here, and you will find my function definition below in the code. So that's why we have to write a function declaration whenever we are writing function definition below the main function. But if you don't want to write a function declaration, what you have to do, always write your function definition above the main function. So it is a recommended approach. Always write your function above the main function, so you don't have to write a function declaration. Okay, let's write the code first, then we will move ahead. Okay, let's create new file, function dot cpp. First we will write hashtag include iostream using namespace std. Right? Then after that, let's declare our function int add int a int. After declaring, let's define our function int a int b. What function? Let me remove this function declare this. Will this code run? Yes, this code will run. It is printing 18. Now let's move this function below the main function. Now let's run it. Here you can see we are getting an error. Add was not declared in this scope. So we know we are using a function below the main function, but compiler doesn't know that our function is below the main function. So always write your function above the main function, so we don't have to declare our function. Right, now look at different types of functions. Our first type is no return no parameters. So what we are saying, we are creating a function which doesn't return anything and doesn't take any data. So whenever we don't want to return anything from the function, we have to write void hello parenthesis. This is a function name. Here we don't have any parameter. Then what we are doing here, if we are not returning anything, that's mean we are printing inside the function itself. Okay, let's look at the second type. No return with parameters. So doesn't return anything but takes the parameter. So void hello string. This time I am taking data as a string, and which is, and variable name will be name. Then cout hello name. Okay. Now let's look at the third type. Return type no parameters. Here returning something but not taking any parameters. Int, let's try different data types. String hello, return hello. So what we are doing, we are returning data type string and we are returning here string. Okay, let's move to the next type of the function. Return type with, so I can write int add int a int b, then it will return a plus b. These are our four types of function. First one is no return no parameters. Second is no return with parameters. Third is return type no parameters. Fourth is return type with parameters. Let's run our codes one by one. Let's look at the first code. No return no parameter. Void hello cout hello. Let's call our function. Now we are not returning anything, so we don't have to write in the cout, because we are not returning anything. It won't print anything, so you can write hello. Here you can see it is printing this. Now let's look at the second type. No return with parameters. Let's pass some parameters. Let's passing here animal. Okay, so I can use here name, and here I have to write string name. And if we are, let's run our code. Here you can see it is printing hello animal. We have to insert one space here. Now you can see it is printing hello animal. We are passing our animal string from here, then it is assigning to the name variable and it is printing here. Now let's look at the third type, which is return type no parameters. So let's clear first parameters. We are returning a string. In string we are returning only hello. Now we are returning something, so we have to print. Let's clear it. Now let's run it. Okay, we are returning. So here we will write return. Here it is printing hello. Okay, let's move to the fourth type, return type with parameter. Let's try a different example this time. Let's say it will return multi of these two variables. We call these numbers. So these are the types of functions we can write. Now let's move to the our next topic. Whenever we are calling a function, there are two types of calls. First is call by value, second is call by reference. Let's look at what they actually do. Whenever you are, I created a function with the return type void, function name change, and the parameter x. Here in this block we are assigning x equals to 100. Let's call this function int main int a equals to 5. Let's call a function change a cout a. Now we completed our function. Now I want to ask, what will be the output this code will be printing? Here you can see initially we have int a equals to 5. So our value of a is 5. Then we passed that a here. Okay. Then x become 5. X become 5. Then we assign x equals to 100. So you can see our value from 5 to 100. So I want to ask, this a will print 5 or 100? Answer will be 5, because when we are passing a value from here to here, the function making a copy of original value, but it's not changing our original value. Okay, now let's look at the call by reference. Here I'm saying I'm using similar code. Now let's look at this time. It is similar code, but this time what I'm doing here, I am here before x I am writing and operator. So This time what will happen? When you pass a here, it will goes here 5. Then x equals to 100. Then when it will return, our a value will become 100 because this and sign will not make a copy of our original value, but it will take a reference to the original value and directly modifies our original value. So whenever you want to modify your original data, you will call your function by reference. To call a function by reference, you only have to include and operator before variable declaration. And if you don't want to modify your original data, you will call it by value. Let's run this code in our VS Code. Let's first write our function void change int x. We are not returning anything, so I value of x is equal to 100. Then I declared a variable a equals to 5. Then call a function change. I will passing the value a here. Then here I will be printing value of a. In this code we are calling y value, right? So our answer will be 5. If I include and operator here, our answer will be, it directly modifies the original value a. Let's write a function to check if number is prime. So we just want to know a number is prime or not. So we want true or false type answer. So this time I will be writing rule. Function name will be is prime int n. N will be our parameter for which we are checking it is a prime or not. If n less than equals to 1, we will return false, right? Because our prime number starts from 2. Now, for checking a number is prime, we have to divide it from every number 1 to from 2 to n number itself. So we will be writing a loop which is running from 2 and which is going to the n, and we are checking if our number n is divisible by I. If it is divisible, then we will return false because prime number cannot be divisible. Then we will return here true. If it doesn't return any false here, then by default it will return true because we ran our loop from 2 to n. So we can say if there is no number which can divide our n, then it must be our prime. So at the end it will return true. You don't have to understand what this code is doing right now. In the future we will be able to understand it. Prime, let's write the n, let's declare a variable n. Okay, let's print. Okay, let's print here. Now, initially I am passing n equals to 5. Here I passed n as an argument, and here is n is our parameter. These both n's are not same, okay, because this n is making a copy of this n. So let's run our code. Here you can see it is printing 1. That means our 5 is a prime number. If I write a 15 and run it, you can see it is a 0. You can call this function multiple times. Let's remove n from here and let's put a value here. So here you can see we are using same function again and again for different types of data or values. So if I run, let's include handle also, because if we are not using handle, everything will come in a single line. Let's remove our extra semicolon. Let's run it. 1101. So our 5 is a prime number, 2 is a prime number, 78 is not a prime number, and 13 is a prime number. So it is printing true, true, false, true. This is our simple function which is we are going to use in the future for DSA. And function is very important because everything you will write, you have to write in a function, because in future your code will be lengthy, not a small one. Start practicing with the functions. So that's everything about functions in C++, one of the most important building blocks of programming. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Have a nice day.